I'm glad that Secretary Blinken has confirmed that America is not asking us to choose. I don't recall any attempt by the United States to do that. But in terms of our interaction with some of our partners in Europe and elsewhere, there has been a sense of patronizing bullying toward you choose this or else. And the recent legislation passed in the United States of America by the House of Representatives, we found a most unfortunate bill that we'd hope the media would say more about, because when we believe in freedom, as I'm saying, it's freedom for everybody. You can't say because Africa is doing this, you will then be punished by the United States. So that's been a disappointing passage of legislation by one house, and we hope the other house will not agree to such offensive legislation. So indeed, it is important that all of us accept our ability to hold different opinions. We are, after all, sovereign nations that are regarded as equal in terms of the United Nations Charter. We may differ in terms of economic power and economic ability to influence development in different parts of the world, but what will make the world work is if we respect each other. This is very, very important. And one thing I definitely dislike is being told either you choose this or else. When a minister speaks to me like that, which Secretary Blinken has never done, but some have, I definitely will not be bullied in that way, nor would I expect any other African country worth its salt to agree to be treated.
Naledi Pandor has been vocal in criticizing what she perceives as instances of the United States bullying African nations, particularly when it comes to pressuring them to align with U.S. foreign policy. Her views reflect South Africa's commitment to sovereignty, non-alignment, and multilateralism. Here are the key aspects of our stance.
Firstly, on the matter of Russia and Ukraine, there is no one in South Africa who supports war. We've made that very clear. And we have said that we wish to see intensified efforts at increased diplomacy, utilizing the good offices of the United Nations, particularly the Secretary General, and other leaders who may be of weight in terms of persuading the interlocutors to come around a table and negotiate a settlement of this awful conflict. This is the position of South Africa. We support a search for peace. We are appalled by war. We abhor war because it brings untold suffering, which is something we experienced under apartheid. So this is the position that we have. With respect to the role that multilateral bodies such as the United Nations should play, we believe that all principles that are germane to the United Nations Charter and international humanitarian law must be upheld for all countries, not just some. Just as much as the people of Ukraine deserve their territory and freedom, the people of Palestine deserve their territory and freedom. And we should be equally concerned at what is happening to the people of Palestine as we are with what is happening to the people of Ukraine. We've not seen an even-handed approach in utilization of the prescripts of international law. And we encourage that the world should have greater attention to ensuring that we are equal to everybody. This has been a concern, and this is what at times leads to cynicism about international bodies and a lack of belief in their ability to protect the weakest and most marginalized. We have to change that belief and cynicism and ensure that all international institutions treat all human beings in a fashion that shows them whether we are ICC, ICJ, UN Security Council, G20, EU, whoever we are, we will protect. This is important. Also on Taiwan, clearly as South Africa, we have very clear separation between the executive and the legislature. Recently, the Speaker of the National Assembly was invited to be part of a group of the Interparliamentary Union, a group of speakers who were a delegation that were to visit Ukraine. I could not say to the speaker, don't go there, don't go there. It is Parliament's decision as to what they do. This is what separation of power means. So I think for us, decisions by presiding officers, whether we agree with them or not, as the executive, they would have to live with our decisions. We have to live with their decisions and repair any breaches in relations that they may cause. That's our duty to do that. Of course, we welcome the ceasefire in Palestine. However, we do express concern that many civilians have been killed. Infrastructure that provides services to ordinary civilians has been destroyed. The people of Palestine are living in buildings that are shells. And this worries us, having experienced apartheid ourselves and living in corridors. So we do think there's work for the world to do in ensuring that we create peace in the territory of Palestine and have a two-state solution where you have two nations existing in peace, side by side. We also think we're not satisfied that there's been an independent investigation of the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh, and we still call for a full independent investigation and a full report on who actually shot her. Because you can't say bullets shot a person. It's an individual who wields the gun, and we need to get to the truth of that. This is what would show that we are truly committed to being honest and even-handed toward all people, and in particular toward media practitioners who must be given the security to practice their craft. On the elections in Kenya, we've been very pleased that thus far the campaign up to its end yesterday seemed to have been largely peaceful. We hope that the election which occurs on our Women's Day in South Africa, that it will result in a stable, free and fair election. We wish the people of Kenya well in this process. We recall the last election, and we are hoping that tomorrow everyone will be able to exercise their democratic right to vote in a condition of peace and security. Of issues, some of which I'm sure will form the substance of the questions that you wish to pose. We've confirmed the good standing of the relationship between South Africa and the United States of America. It's a very extensive partnership in which we cooperate in a wide range of sectors. We had reports from 4 commissions that are part of our bilateral strategic structure. We should have this kind of political dialogue on a regular basis, but we'd had a hiatus for almost 8 years, but we've agreed that this is going to be an interaction that takes place on a regular basis. I have had many opportunities to hold meetings and discussions with Secretary Blinken, and I've always found him open to listening and to sharing perspective on various world affairs. So having said that, I'll now hand over to him. Secretary Blinken, over to you, and then I think we should allow the media.
Pandor has strongly criticized the US for pressuring African nations to take side in global conflicts, such as the Ukraine-Russia war. She has described this as undermining Africa's rights to pursue independent foreign policies based on its own interest. Pandor has frequently condemned the use of unilateral sanctions by the US, particularly against African nations like Zimbabwe. She argues that such measures disproportionately harm ordinary citizens and infringe on national sovereignty. Pandor has called for a relationship between Africa and the US that is based on mutual respect rather than dominance. She emphasizes that African nations should be treated as equal, not as subordinates in global affairs. Pandor champions Africans' rights to adopt a non-aligned positions on international issues. She resists the idea that African nations must choose between Western powers like the US and emerging powers like China or Russia. Pandor has criticized the US for sometimes prioritizing its geopolitical interests over Africa's developmental needs. She advocates for a shift from a focus on competition with other powers in Africa to genuine collaboration on pressing issues like poverty, health, and infrastructure. She has pointed out inconsistency in how the US applies its principle, particularly regarding democracy and human rights, accusing it of selective application that serves its interest. Pandor believes that Africa and the US should engage through multilateral institutions where African nations have an equal say in decision-making. While critical of certain US policy, Pandor does not reject engagement with the US. She advocates for a partnership that addresses African priorities without coercion or conditions. Naledi Pandor's view reflects a broader sentiment among African leaders seeking to redefine the continent's relationship with major powers. She challenges what she sees as US bullying and calls for a more respectable, equitable partnership that recognizes African agency and independency. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and share your thoughts in the comment box below.